welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for this morning, today, Monday, April 10th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Ali VC, Sanitation.
Good morning, Reza Shahmirzadeh, Engineering.
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Asad Al-Najjar, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Hector Bainibalos, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section, and no speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
All right, thank you. We'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of March 22nd, 2017 by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 1, Bureau of Engineering, Council District 9, above-ground facility variance, 2528 South San Pedro Street on the Adams Boulevard side of the lot, recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 6208 VB and authorize Mobility to install a 48-foot, 1-inch high steel monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 2528 South San Pedro Street on the Adams Boulevard side of the lot. Mr. Ledoux on number 1.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work with Bureau of Engineering Central District. As said here, we have a mobility monopole, 48 feet, 1 inch in height. There is no meter cabinet. It's just simply the pole. It is in a commercially zoned area. It's in CD9 current price. When we originally started to do the board report for this, because this application was applied for April 4th of 2016, so it's almost a year old, their planning deputy was denying this, and so we met with CD9 on this, and they said that they did not want wood poles. They would prefer a metal pole where someone could nail in flyers and stuff like that. So we held this back, and Mobility went before Cultural Affairs Commission and got a steel and a concrete pole approved October 20th of last year. So now we're bringing this back to the board. I have not heard from any of the owners or residents of the lots that were notified. And at this point, because of the steel pole, CD9 is basically staying neutral.
Okay, it's progress on that. So anything further, any questions? Commissioner Sendo's made a motion on agenda item number 1. I'll second it along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. And incidentally, Mr. Ledoux, thank you to you and to the folks at Mobility for the additional work with the council office on that, as well as Commissioner Jacinto. Agenda item number 2, above ground facilities variance 2029 East Darwin Avenue in Council District number 1, recommending that the board first approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LA Municipal Code Section 6208 VB. Secondly, approve the request for a hardship waiver from the below grade requirement of the LAMC Municipal Code Section 62082A. And third, authorize Mobility LLC to install a 58-foot, 1-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 2029 East Darwin Avenue. Mr. Ledoux on number 2.
Once again, it's a mobility monopole, no meter cabinet. It's adjacent to 2029 East Darwin Avenue, east of Avenue 20. It is in CD1, Gilbert Cedillo's council district. They are remaining neutral. This is also within the Cornfield Arroyo Seco specific plan, which does require planning department recommendation. Mobility did get one from the planner in charge of that specific plan, and basically they really don't have jurisdiction in the public right-of-way, so their recommendation was to go ahead and approve this AGF application. I have received no phone calls or emails or any other communication from any of the parties notified. This is a residential zone, and nobody appealed it.
This infrastructure, though, is how many feet away from the existing light pole? Looks like it's
I-
one in-
I would imagine by the looks of that picture, and they're on opposite sides of the street, that's probably at least 20 feet.
Yeah, I was going to say about 20, 30 feet. Okay. Any questions? And no response to your notice sent to that adjacent property owner?
None.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Agenda item number 3, Council District 9, above ground facilities variance, 3801 South Grand Avenue on the 38th Street side of the lot. Recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LA Municipal Code Section 6208VB and authorize Mobility LLC to install a 42-foot, 1-inch high steel monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 3801 South Grand Avenue. Mr. Ledoux on number 3.
So once again, we have a mobility monopole, no meter cabinet, 42 feet, 1 inch high. It is in a manufacturing zone. It's in CD9. This is an older application. It was applied to on April 6, 2016, using a wood pole. Once again, at CD9's request, this was swapped out for a steel pole. And because of that, CD9 is remaining neutral with the steel pole being the one applied for. I received no phone calls or emails or communications from any of the parties notified, including the lot or that it is adjacent to, and nobody appealed it. And this, like I said, is a manufacturing zone.
Any questions on agenda item number 3, Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. Jeff, just clarification, the differences in height of the poles are related to the size of the search ring. And so the higher up, larger search ring, that's why we have variation?
It's related to the network where the other antennas are. It's also related to topographical problems such as buildings, trees, hills, that sort of thing. Basically, a radio frequency engineer goes out and establishes at what height the pole needs to be at in order to effectively communicate from that location to the other locations.
Understood. And the presumption there is that we're not building it higher than it has to be.
That's correct.
Very good. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Anything further? Commissioner Rivas?
I noticed in the board report says that the Bureau of Street Lighting approved this. Was it because it couldn't be co-located, or?
Whenever you build within the first 4 feet back from the curb, you are in street lighting's easement. Therefore, you have to get permission from them to place your equipment within their easement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Anything further? Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3. Commissioner Davis seconds it. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 3. Any issues sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Agenda item number 4, Bureau of Sanitation. Council District number 6, grant application. State Water Resources Control Board's Water Recycling Funding Program. Recommending that the board first approve and forward the report with its transmittals to the City Council, with the recommendation that the City Council, subject to approval of the mayor, authorize the director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to apply for, accept, negotiate, and execute all documents, including but not limited to applications, agreements, and amendments, subject to the approval of the city attorney as to form, which may be necessary to secure financial assistance of up to $460 million for the State Water Resources Control Board's Water Recycling Funding Program for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant's Advanced Water Purification Facility and Groundwater Replenishment Project. And second, request the City Council to adopt the attached resolutions, that's transmittals 1, 2, and 3, to authorize the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to execute and submit all documents on behalf of the City of Los Angeles including but not limited to applications, agreements, and negotiate and execute agreements, amendments, payment requests, subject to the approval of the city attorney as to form, which may be necessary to carry out the purposes of the resolution. So Jolene Munoz and Lance Vincent. Mr. Vincent, go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, Bureau Reps, Executive Officer, and everyone present. Arnell Aguilar with LA Sanitation Financial Management Division. I'm here with the project manager, Jolene Munoz, in the audience. LA San is requesting the board's approval of this report to submit a financial assistance applications to the State Water Resources Control Board for their water recycling funding program for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant's Advanced Water Purification Facility and Groundwater Replenishment Project. The amount requested is $460 million in the form of grants and loans, but the final mix will be determined by the state's water board. If approved by the state, this will create interest rate savings from the city's wastewater bonds borrowing rate of 4.15% to the state revolving fund loans rate of 1.7%. This amounts to $171 million in present value savings over the course of 30 years. As part of the state's requirements, we are also requesting authority from the City Council and Mayor to transmit an authorizing resolution, reimbursement resolution, and a pledged revenues and funds resolution. The authorizing resolution is needed to show the state that the City Council and Mayor has authorized the submission of the application, and if approved, to receive the assistance and to execute the necessary documents. The reimbursement resolution is certifying that the city will be reimbursing the costs incurred by this project. And finally, the pledged revenues and fund resolution certifies that the sewer and construction maintenance funds will be used to cash flow the project and to pay back the loan. Also, I notice on the agenda item it says a grant. To be correct, we're requesting financial assistance, just for the record. So this concludes my briefing, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
The board report indicates that the project is requesting financial assistance from a Proposition 1 grant in the amount of $75 million. Currently, the Prop 1's water recycling funding program cap is $15 million. So can you decipher that? So does that mean that the grant we're requesting is $75 million, or that the grant from which we would seek money from is $75 million?
We requested in a separate letter to the state to bump up the threshold from $3 million to $15 million. However, we are requesting $75 million in terms of our need for grants. However, the savings is from the entire $460 million loan. So any grants that we receive will actually provide additional savings, to that.
Right. So, but you are seeking up to $75 million in grant funding?
That's correct.
Okay. And the remainder, if I understood correctly, the remainder of potential savings over the life of the project is through the beneficial borrowing rate that we would get through this state financial assistance program, correct?
Yes, you are correct.
And that could be upwards of, depending on how we do in requesting financial assistance, that could be upwards of the $171 million that you referenced?
That's correct.
Okay. I think I got it.
Yeah, that's the current interest rate as of today.
As stated in the board report?
Correct.
Right. Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you. Arnell, I just had a question regarding the scope of work of the project. The 35 million gallons per day of advanced water treatment, is that a higher grade than what we're doing at DCT right now, sir?
Okay, I will ask Jolene to address that question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jolene Munoz. I represent DCT. So the project is going to be doing advanced water treatment. We currently have Title 22 water at Tillman, so we're going to be treating it further with advanced treatment before it's being sent to the spreading grounds in near Hanson Dam.
So it's enhancement of the level of
Yes,
treatment,
further treatment of what we
And-
already treat. Mhm.
but it's not an additional 35 million MGD, correct? It is just an advanced treatment.
No, it is separate. The volume for the AWPF that's going to be going to the Hanson's spreading grounds is a separate volume.
Okay, so it's an
So
additional.
we're going to
okay.
continue the existing, at least the plans are now, we continue the existing production that we have that goes to the river and all of our other sources, and then this would be in total to include the recycled water, which is the Title 22 customers DWP has, and water we send to the spreading grounds.
Excellent. So this really kind of contributes to the One Water overall plan, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cinto. Whoever could answer this, regarding the Program Review Committee approval, the construction budget of $370 million, which including contingency for the project, was approved by the Program Review Committee on March 13th, 2013. That's 4 years ago. Is there anything that, recognizing that we're talking about $460 million versus $370 million, so there's some delta there, but is there anything that's happened in the last 4 years that would affect the total amount of the project costs that we're looking at today?
Yes, but I couldn't definitively tell you by how much and in what direction. I think it'd be less, but currently we're doing an advanced water purification facility pilot at Tillman. It's a second round of pilots to meet in 2014, the Division of Drinking Water released groundwater recharge regulations that weren't previously considered in the treatment train of full advanced treatment, which is microfiltration, reverse osmosis, and then advanced oxidation. And that is, as we all know, reverse osmosis is very expensive and energy intensive. So we are considering right now, with the pilot wrapping up, the treatment train that would be most cost effective and still meet all the water quality requirements. So that may be a smaller project or a different treatment train, which would be less costly.
Okay, so the Bureau is comfortable then with the $370 million that's been approved by the PRC?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? I'll make a motion on agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Cinto and Davis. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith, so it goes onward to the City Council now. Agenda item number 5, Council District 8, Grant Acceptance State Water Board Orphan Site Cleanup Fund for the site located at 6300 Western Avenue, recommending that the board first approve and forward the report with its transmittal to the mayor and the City Council, with the recommendations that the City Council, subject to the concurrence of the mayor, authorize the Director of the Bureau of Sanitation or his designee to accept grant funds from the Orphan Site Cleanup Fund, and secondly, request the City Council to adopt the resolution that was transmittal number 1, authorizing the acceptance of the California State Water Resources Control Board, OSCF. Ms. Tersibashian?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Nuna Tersibashian, Bureau of Sanitation, citywide brownfields program. We're seeking for your approval to accept funds from State Water Resource Control Board and enter into agreement with the agency to implement the funding to investigate and clean up a site located at 6300 Western Avenue. This is one of the sites that city is taking over from former Community Redevelopment Agency, and will be redeveloping into a park, open space with various recreational improvements.
Thank you. Any questions on number 5? I don't have any questions on the receipt of these grant funds. Okay. Is there a motion? Commissioner Davis has made a motion on agenda item number 5. I'll second it along with Commissioner Rivas. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issues sending number 5 forthwith?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll send number 5 forthwith. It's been requested that we continue agenda item number 6 to Monday, April 24th, 2017. Is that correct, Mr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay, sorry, I should have caught that earlier. So the Bureau is requesting that we move number 6 to April 24th, 2017, so we will do that. Agenda item number 7, Bureaus of Sanitation, Street Services, and Contract Administration, Personal Services Contract Amendments, Recycling and/or Disposal of Intermaterials, Mixed Inert Materials, Mixed Debris, Waste Debris, and Bulky Items. Recommending that the Board first approve and forward the report with transmittals to the Mayor's Office with the request that the Board of Public Works be authorized to execute Amendment Number 1 to the Bureau of Street Services contract with USA Waste of California Incorporated doing business, I guess they do waste too, but doing business as Waste Management, and execute Amendment Number 1 to the Bureau of Street Services contract with American Reclamation. The amendments will add construction and demolition material to the existing contracts, which are for the recycling and/or disposal of inert materials, mixed debris, waste debris, and bulky items. And secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the Board to execute the contract amendments. Rowena Romano.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners Davis, Repenning, and Rivas, Bureau Representative, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. I am Rowena Romano with LA Sanitation. We are requesting the Board to approve and execute Amendment Number 1 to the Bureau of Street Services contracts with USA Waste of California, DBA Waste Management, and with American Reclamation. The original contracts, which were for the recycling and/or disposal of materials, inert materials, mixed materials, and mixed debris, and bulky items, were executed back by this Board in September 2014. And in February 2015, the Board authorized LA Sanitation to utilize these agreements since LA San also provides solid waste collection to other city departments for projects that require the collection and recycling of various solid waste materials. However, in addition to the materials provided in the BSS contracts, LA San also collects construction and demolition materials that result from the construction, remodeling, repair, demolition, or deconstruction of buildings and structures. Unfortunately, the original contracts did not include a line item for C&D material on the schedule of cost. Therefore, LA San is requesting the amendment to the contracts to include these costs for recycling and processing C&D materials. There is no request to increase the estimated funding for LA San's utilization of these contracts, and funding for the recycling and processing of these materials will be from the Solid Waste Resource Revenue Fund, and there is no impact to the general fund for these services.
Thank you, Ms. Romano. Any questions on agenda item number 7? What's going to happen after the, I'm sorry if I may have missed this, what's going to happen after the end of the amendment, the end of the term?
I have Mr. Mario Antirano from BSS who actually handles those contracts, and maybe he can.
Mario?
Good morning, everyone. Mario Anteriano with the Bureau of Street Services.
Just after the end of the term of the amendment.
We would be looking to release another request for proposals to seek the same services.
Do we have a timeline on, have we started that process already?
No, not as of yet.
And the length of the amendments again?
I believe they go till the end of 2019, till the end of the term of this current contract.
So when will you start the process of preparing the RFP?
We would probably starting towards the end of this fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
Just
really
allow
need to,
enough
yeah,
time?
correct.
Yeah, because what, if we can get, that always takes a little bit of time, and that way we don't have to deal with another amendment, especially if, and I don't know if these contracts have additional amendments already in them, but sometimes we can add additional time on the agreement of both parties. Commissioner Davis?
Can you explain to me the impact of the business inclusion program on this action as we talk about expanding the process processing of C&D materials and the funds that might be?
It's my understanding that these particular contracts did not include a subcontracting opportunity. I believe it just because of the nature of the work. But as we look to further contract, we will be looking at any opportunities that may be available and make that or include that as part of our contract process.
Does this opportunity in any regard have opportunities for subcontracting of those vendors? Not even to that degree, huh? When you have you said no sub opportunities, period?
That's correct. There was a request through the mayor's office to waive the requirements for subcontracting opportunities, again, because of the nature of the work that's and the scope of work that's being requested.
Give me just a minute. Okay, I don't have any further questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7. Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? With that objection, we will adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue setting the 7 forthwith? We'll send agenda item number 7 forthwith. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Mario, thank you for being here. Agenda item number 8, oral report, update on the sidewalk repair program. Julie.
Good morning, Julie Souter with the Bureau of Engineering Sidewalk Repair Program. I'm here to give you an update on our sidewalk repair programs since early December. So one of the big things that we've done since December is we've actually launched our website. So if you haven't seen it, it's sidewalks.la.city.org, and this is where anyone in the city can come and learn more about the program as well as make a request. So there's some handouts for you. Since we've launched in our website in December, if you go to the next page, sorry about that. In addition to the website, we also have other ways that constituents and residents can also make requests. That is directly through the My LA 311 service, mobile as well as your desktop. You can also call 311. And lastly, if you would like to visit one of our council districts or our district's office, you can also make a request through those avenues as well. So since we launched our website in December, we've also launched our Access program. So now we have all of our 3 programs actively running. That is our rebate program, our Access program for the mobility disabled, as well as just report a sidewalk in general. So one of the things, this is kind of our tech page here, if you look at it. One of the things we're really leveraging is using our technology for electronic workflow. We've been working very closely with our Bureau of Contract Administration as well as our Bureau of Street Services to make sure that we are really efficiently processing our requests. So up to today's date, we have 118 rebate applications in, and using this workflow process, we're getting them assessed as well as offers made to applicants. We've had 41 permits issued to date for the rebate program. And then the next page is just a screenshot of some of the tablet application that our field crews with BSS are utilizing to assess applications as well. To date, we have 395 access requests that have come in through the 311, and we're also working on some of the older, what we're calling the legacy requests that have come in through DOD before we went live through 311. So all of this requests and work that we're doing, our ultimate goal is to actually issue certificate of compliance. Earlier this year in January, we did pass an ordinance establishing the fix and release program, which is a rebate, issuing the certificate of compliance and the program in general. So this is a snapshot of our certificate. And in fact, on March 2nd, we had a press release with the mayor issuing our first certificate of compliance with the accessibility applicant that made in a request. So what kind of construction work activities that we have ongoing? As I said, really partnering with the Bureau of Street Services. They're our primary contractor who are doing all of our access requests. We are also leveraging our BOE contractors for supplementing that work, as well as our small contracts that we executed last year. We've issued 5 small contracts. 4 of them are actually completed right now, and the last one is in the process of wrapping up. So that's been a very successful program, and we hope to really leverage and use that more as we go on with our program. In one of these pictures, you also notice that we did work with one of our BOE contractors in partnering with the Bureau of Sanitation in doing a bioswale right out here on City Hall South. So another thing that our program has done is we have established an external stakeholder committee, advisory committee. We're really partnering in a lot of the advocate groups that are very engaged in our program. We have 12 agencies that we're partnering with, and they represent the mobility class, our sustainability, as well as our aging. And so here are some of the kind of fun logos that we have, really showing the diversity and the outreach that we're doing with our stakeholder community. Just to let you know, this is a quarterly meeting, and we plan to have continued engagement. So this is something that is a continued commitment, and we're meeting with these teams regularly. So what I wanted to cover next is some of the ongoing things that we're looking for in the next few months. One of them is what we're calling a prioritization report. Through the settlement agreement, there are a lot of priorities and compliance requirements that we need to meet. In addition to that, we also had direction from City Council that outlined some of the priorities that they would like our program to address. Knowing that we have hundreds, if not thousands, of requests that will be coming in over the next 30 years, we really needed to look to an efficient way to prioritize and score, and basically how to plan our work as we go forward. And so these are, we love flow charts here at the Bureau of Engineering, and so this is really just a snapshot of our flow chart on how we're trying to, manage and balance the prioritization and scoring requests from the settlement as well as our council direction. We look to have this done probably in the next month or two once the settlement judgment is final and that we're able to reach out to the plaintiffs and also get their buy-in. Another big initiative that we have for the sidewalk repair program, I think we've mentioned this before, is our GIS and really getting an asset management of the conditions of our sidewalk. What is important for this is that it's not just the sidewalk, but we need to attach that to each property and differentiate between sidewalks and parkways and driveways so that when we do issue our certificate of compliance that we can actually capture all of that data and how do we tie that into the individual owners as we move forward. So it's a lot of work. Our GIS team is doing really great work, and we're looking to have that done by the early next year. What we're also doing is leveraging that GIS system and working with Bureau of Street Services and incorporating a lot of the tree data that they've had. And so that, we really have a great tool for our asset management, not only with our sidewalk infrastructure, but as well as with our trees. And lastly, another item that we're doing is leveraging opportunities. We're working with city plants, green infrastructure, our alternative materials, and our Vision Zero. So when we are looking at the sidewalk repair program, we're also looking for opportunities on how we promote other city programs that, the city are moving forward. One of them is our alternative material. We were approved by City Council to move forward with that. It's a $1.5 million pilot program.
How much?
$1.5 million pilot program that we are really going to be investigating and testing alternative materials that we can use not only in the sidewalk repair program, but throughout the city. So that is a really good example of how we're using our program and, just, looking for ways to leverage it and, move the city forward. So that's what we've done in the last few months and kind of give you a snapshot of what we are doing in the next quarter. Any questions?
Commissioner Davis?
to, first of all, say that out of every challenge that we have comes great opportunities. And as I look at what you have outlined, I think that this is really the core of what Public Works is all about in terms of really helping improve our infrastructure on sidewalks. And it appears to me that you have done an outstanding job in collaborating with the council office as well as those assignments that we were given in terms of how to implement this program. But I think equally what is important is the opportunities that exist in terms of economic development for some of our small businesses. And I think you all have really managed that very effectively, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to know that we have been able to increase those opportunities as a result of this challenge. And it appears to me that we're doing a great job. My question to you is, have there been any unforeseen challenges in the implementation of this project?
There's always challenges. Building a new program, I think part of it is just making sure that we lay the infrastructure, spending the time thoughtfully and laying the infrastructure, just the program, so that we can sustain ourselves over the next 30 years. And so a lot of that is making sure that we have the electronic workflow, making sure that we have really good communication with a lot of city partners, with the Bureau of Street Services, making sure that our work flows seamlessly with what they're doing on the streets, as well as our Bureau of Contract Administration. So one of the challenges is really identifying how we can make that efficient, but what our staffing needs are. We're finding that there are sidewalks are complicated, and I think people for not having done a lot in many years, that we're relearning the complexity on how to design curb ramps, how to incorporate businesses, constraints, and really learning the new ADA requirements. So I think for us right now is laying the infrastructure and relearning the challenges of the design and delivering the program.
Well, I think that we're off to a good start, and again, I think collaboration is key, and I think you've done a great job at pulling those pieces together, so thank you for this first quarter report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Rivas?
Thank you so much for this report. It's great to have an update on this brand new program, and like Commissioner Davis said, there's always challenges, and I know you have recognized those and are doing a lot to work on that. My question is on your the flow chart, the way that you're going to prioritize these requests. I get asked by community members, when will my sidewalk, if I submit something, when will it be repaired? And so far all I say is within the next 30 years, because that's all I know. But do you envision that the resident will know at one point, okay, it's in 5 years that they'll get to my house? Or will they know, will they have like a time?
Yeah, and that, right, yeah, and that is definitely a part of it, and that's why it's one of the things that we're really focused on solving. And yes, that is the ultimate goal, is that we would be able to give some kind of indication to our applicants where they fall in, if it's going to be in the next 2 years, 5 years, or, to be realistic and have an answer. And it's a balance, because we do have compliance, the settlement compliance, where we have to meet as part of the lawsuit, and and then again we also are addressing the prioritization which was laid out in our council direction. And so hopefully our goal is, once we come up with this scoring prioritization, that we would have a better timeline so that we can communicate that to our constituents and our applicants. So yes, that's our ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think it's just about being realistic, right? If they know, they have an idea of a timeline, and they're not expecting it next month, right? Which is usually they submit a request, and it's like, it's not done yet. And it's like, it's been a month,
Yeah, right, absolutely. And so this will also help us as far as, giving the city a big picture perspective of, the additional resources we need to deliver the program.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Julie, is this your first report?
Yes, to the board, yes.
Congratulations.
Well, the first one I did, I think I I just started, or was starting the next week.
Excellent. Let me congratulate you again for taking leadership of this such important, working with our city engineer, Gary Lee Moore, on this absolutely primary and fundamental aspect of our city, the access, being safe. Our mayor's agenda, it hits all those points to all our commissioners, my colleagues' comments. Julie, you're going to be here managing this. We're learning a lot this first quarter, and we see this with the data coming back and the nuances, and it's just an exciting time to build this program for the future, working with our board secretariat. I know that our executive officer, Fernando, and our staff are also involved in it too. I appreciate also the engagement of stakeholders and the partnership that happens as we build this program, that we're not just doing it as a city, but we're doing it as a city of stakeholders of multiple points. And that balancing that is, and managing that is interesting, but it's also dynamic. And as long as we are open to learning and taking that information and making it better, this program, the Safe Sidewalks LA, is going to continue to be a very important part of our quality of life for this city. So thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. I don't have anything further.
Okay.
So the oral report will be received. Thank you, Julie. These are quarterly, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see you in the next
In 3
quarter.
months. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. The oral report will be received. Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we are adjourned with the exception of the Bureau Heads meeting, which takes place at 11 o'clock in our conference room.